I don't know one person who got married and thought, okay, I'm going to be divorced in 2 years or 5 years. Divorce actually is shocking to everybody. Nobody plans for divorce. But if you are going through a divorce, you can plan for your divorce. And that's what I want to talk about today. I want to introduce you to my guest who can help you plan for your divorce and get such a better outcome. Because if you plan and you have a plan, it might not go exactly as you planned, but if you have an idea, you will get a better outcome. The process will be so much easier and you'll have a better post-divorce life. So with that said, I want to introduce my guest. Her name is Tracy Conan, and Tracy is the founder of the Divorce Money Guide. I am a huge fan of the Divorce Money Guide. We're going to get into what that is and how you can get into it if you want. But hi, Tracy.
Hi, Jackie. I am a huge fan of you and Divorce Girl Smiling as well.
Thank
So we've
you.
got a mutual admiration society going.
I know we do. But I forgot to tell my listeners that you are a forensic accountant. That's pretty big because Tracy has spent her 30 plus year career helping people find money. That's what forensic accountants do. And Tracy created the Divorce Money Guide to help you find your husband's money without having to hire a forensic accountant, which can cost tens of thousands of dollars, right?
You're right. It's all about knowing your money as you're going through this divorce process. So, too many women have been hands off with the money during their marriages. And they do that for a variety of reasons. Most of the time, it's because your husband says, "Hey, I'll take care of the money," and you're fine with that. But when you're getting divorced, you need to know how much you have, where it is, and what your money's been spent on over the last few years. You've got to understand this. And you don't have to be a forensic accountant. You don't have to be good with numbers. You don't have to have any math or accounting skills. You just have to be willing to look for information, get account statements and things like that. And that's what I show people how to do because I know it sounds super overwhelming to think about digging into the financial stuff, but I'm here to make it easy.
I'm telling you, I talk to more women who money intimidates them, especially if you've never managed your money, you've never looked at a statement, and they think it's like really scary and intimidated and complicated. And you know what, Tracy? Tell me if you agree with me. But even if you don't have a college degree, this is not that complicated and you can figure it out. You have a brain, you have to have confidence in yourself that you can figure this out. You will. It is not that complicated.
It is not that complicated, but what is usually the hardest for women is just starting the process because it feels overwhelming. I don't know where to start with the money stuff. It seems like we've got these accounts and people are saying, get your statements, get your tax returns, get insurance policies, get all these things. And you might not have ever dealt with these documents before. You don't know where to get them. You don't know how to start. And that's why I said, let's start with planning for divorce. If you're thinking about divorce, if you think it might be a possibility, if you're into the divorce process, I want to break it down into some easy baby steps for you to start getting your arms around this stuff.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I love this. So, Tracy and I are going to talk about 5 things you can do to plan for your divorce. Okay. And this is based on the 5 things that Tracy sent me. And I'm going to just list the 5 things, Tracy, and then you can explain. So,
Sure.
the first one makes a lot of sense. You find out what the divorce process is all about. Now, are you saying that this is how I took that one? First of all, if you've never been divorced, you might not know that there's several ways to get divorced. Well, there's like four
Right.
ways to get divorced. And then after you find out about those 4 ways, figure out how you want to get divorced. Is that what you're talking about?
Kind of. It's really just about understanding what the divorce process is all about, knowing, that you're going to have to go to court and understanding some of the legal terms and just knowing what your attorney does and doesn't do in the process. And so I'm just really referring to getting an overall understanding about what this process of divorce is all about and what your responsibilities are going to be and how long it's going to take in the state that you live in and things like that.
Okay, now I think one of the worst ways to find out about the divorce process is to talk to your girlfriends who are divorced because they could be helpful, but they might also say, oh my gosh, it's gonna suck. You're gonna be in court. You're gonna end up spending $100,000 on your divorce. They're gonna tell you their whole divorce nightmare because obviously they didn't use the divorce money guide. But they are not always the best people. I shouldn't say you shouldn't talk to them, but they are not always the best people. Who are the best people to talk to? You can talk to a divorce attorney. You can go get a consult. Well, they're going to tell you about the legal process, what Tracy's talking about, the overall process. But they're not going to tell you the whole story, which is that you can get divorced using an attorney and going to litigation and going to court. That's kind of what they're going to talk to you about. But then they might not talk to you about mediation, or they might. Mediation is a process where you probably, no, I shouldn't say probably. You may never have to go to court except for the final prove up. Okay? So there's mediation. So then there's divorce attorney assisted mediation. And then there's the collaborative process. So read about these things. You can find them on Divorce Girl Smiling, and or you can talk to a mediator, or you can talk to a divorce attorney, or I would suggest both. Go ahead. What are your
I
thoughts?
would go one step further and I would say your best first conversation, if you're thinking about or getting divorced, is with a divorce coach. They are the person who is really going to give you, I think, the most objective view about what your options are with the different types of divorce and what you need to be thinking about. And they can be much more cost effective than sitting down and spending hours with an attorney who bills by the hour and things like that.
Tracy, I'm so glad you said that because I couldn't agree more. And there are lots of good divorce coach choices, by the way, on Divorced Girl Smiling, the best of the best. I also feel like talking to a mortgage lender is a very good idea. Now, you wouldn't think about this, but do you agree with me, Tracy? A mortgage lender should be
It's
one of the.
true. It's
Mhm.
true because most people, the biggest asset that they own is their house. So it's going to have the biggest impact on the financial side of your divorce. And you really want to understand right away what are your options for potentially staying in the home, selling the home? Do you want to move into an apartment? Do you want to buy a different house or something like that? And I will tell you, as someone who has been working in divorces for 25 plus years, too many times I see women staying in the family home when they really can't afford it. It is probably the biggest money mistake I see women making in divorce.
You're listening to the Divorced Girl Smiling podcast. My name is Jackie Pilosoff, and I'm your host. And today I am here with Tracy Conan, forensic accountant and CPA. And Tracy is the founder of the Divorce Money Guide. If you want to learn more, go to divorcemoneyguide.com or divorcemoneyguide.com/divorce, right? Tracy takes them to the same place.
It takes them to the website is divorcemoneyguide.com. Just head there. We've got all sorts of resources there.
Tracy and I are talking about the fact that you didn't plan to get divorced, but you can plan for divorce. And we are offering 5 things you can do to plan for divorce. We're going to take a short break. And when we come back, we have 4 more things. And these are really, really important and they're going to benefit you. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Divorce Girl Smiling podcast. My name is Jackie Pilosoff and I'm your host. You didn't plan to get divorced, but you can plan for your divorce. My guest in this episode is Tracy Conan, forensic accountant, and Tracy is the founder of the Divorce Money Guide, a tool which I am a huge fan of. Tracy, we've known each other for like a couple years now, at least, maybe more. And I cannot even tell you how much I wish when I was getting divorced that I would have downloaded the divorce money guide. I probably would have made such better decisions in the divorce, would have known what to ask for, would have had a better outcome instead of just, oh, let the lawyer handle all of it.
Right. And that's the whole point is I want to empower women to know more about their money and really take control of that money for themselves. And so that when they are making decisions in the divorce, that those decisions are coming from a place of knowledge and that they have confidence that they know what's been going on with the money.
Okay, let's move on to the second thing you can do to plan for your divorce, which is protect your money, your identity, and your digital devices. Tell me about that.
Well, I advise women when they're going through divorce and they're early in this process to do things like get a new email address, get a secure mailing address if you need to have a place to send documents to. Run your own credit report so you see what debts have your name on them. I talk about things like changing passwords on online accounts, securing your phone, your computers, things like that. It's really important to do all these things because things change. When you're going through divorce, the person who used to be probably your closest confidant is not going to be anymore. You are probably not going to be friends going forward. You certainly want to protect your privacy. You want to protect your money with a new bank account that's only got your name on it so no one else can access it, things like that. So, I have lots of tips that we go through in the Divorce Money Guide for protecting yourself. But here, I just want to highlight the idea of you need to be thinking strategically about this, about kind of locking things down to protect your privacy and your money.
And what if people say to you, well, I'm going to do that after my divorce is final? What do you say to them?
No, you have to do it now. Even if you're having a divorce that feels amicable and friendly, you never know when it can take a turn for the worse. And I've never heard anyone say, I protected myself too soon. No one ever regrets protecting themselves sooner, but certainly late. If they did it too late, they can regret it. So just start locking things down now and you can rest easier.
And I have a suggestion for people who don't want their spouse to find out because they're thinking, oh, he's going to think I'm getting all, lawyery and not making this friendly. Just say, look, I'm going to have to do this after the divorce anyway. So I'd like to just do it now because it'll make things a lot easier. I
Right.
still want an amicable divorce with you. I trust you. Say whatever you have to say, but just do it.
Right. I agree. Absolutely.
All right, next step is finding the right attorney. This is very important. Tell me why.
Well, you want an attorney who you get along with, who understands you and listens to you, who knows what's important to you and is willing to fight for you, and someone who I guess has the right attitude or temperament. You hear people say, get a bulldog attorney. I don't actually recommend going that route, except for in some really extreme circumstances. I think what you really want is someone who is willing to be cooperative and strategic, but that if they need to really turn the screws, they can. So I tell people it's really important to go through the consultation process. And I always recommend talking to 3 attorneys. Even if you go see that first one and you really, really like them and think that's who you want to hire, have those other 2 meetings because you learn so much about the process. You can do a gut check that that first person was really the right one. You don't know who you might meet and realize, oh my gosh, this person seems like they know more. We seem to get along better. Those 3 meetings are really important just to give you a good baseline before you make a decision.
I love that advice. I also want to give my advice, which is make sure you really like the attorney. And what I mean by that is if you're thinking like, "Ooh, this is kind of an unlikable person," well, guess what? Maybe these judges don't like him or her either. That's really important. Like I remember thinking, would a judge like this woman? Because if not, you could have headaches. The other thing is if you go to 3 different attorneys, like Tracy said, one of them is going to seem more litigious, meaning that person does a lot of litigation, spends a lot of time in court. Well, if you're thinking your divorce isn't going to be that way, maybe the attorney you go see who does most of his or her cases through mediation is a better fit for you. So ask the attorney what they spend most of their time doing. Are you a litigator? Are you more of a mediation kind of attorney? Do you do collaborative divorce? Because the process is really important.
Right.
All right, number 4, get financial documents, account statements, and tax returns. What do you mean, like gather it all together?
Yes, I mean, start gathering it right away. So when we're thinking about planning for divorce, if you have access to financial documents, start taking them, making copies, saving them online in secure cloud storage somewhere. I always say if you have access now, get as much as you can and save it, because you never know if you might lose access to documents or if they might go away. I've had clients who said, we have a desk in the den and there's a drawer, and the tax returns were always there and had always been there for years. We filed for divorce. I went to go get those tax returns and the drawer is empty. Okay, it happens. So if you have access now, I always say protect yourself by starting to secure those documents now. Again, no one ever says, oh, I saved my bank statements too soon. They never say that. But I certainly hear a lot of women say, I meant to go save those tax returns from online banking. I was going to download the stuff. And then one day I went and I was locked out of online banking. My name had been taken off the account. So
Wow.
start early.
Okay, now in the divorce money guide, there's a whole checklist of every single thing that you need to gather, correct?
Yep, there's a list of probably 40 different financial documents that you should think about getting. Not everyone has to gather them
Right.
because not everyone has all of them. But they really get you thinking, because even if you are on top of your family's money, maybe you're the one who's always been paying the bills and handling the budget, and you think you know what all the finances are about. I guarantee you on this list of 40 documents, there's going to be some things on there that you never thought about that could end up being important one day. And if you have it, gather it now.
Okay, now the reason I brought that up is if you have this list, what I would do had I had the divorce money guide is I would print out that page and I would check mark after I gathered each thing, and I'd cross out the things like I don't really have or it's non applicable to me. But this way you're feeling so productive. You're gonna
Right?
have to do it all anyway. So that it's not like Tracy and I are telling you to do extra work. We're just telling you to do it early.
Well, Jackie, that checklist even has a box next to every item for you to put your
Oh,
little check mark in.
love it. Not surprised. You think of everything. Okay, this is the last one, and this is actually really important to think about from day one, even if you're thinking about divorce or right at the beginning. Think about being strategic. What do you really want? What would you be willing to give up? And then making sure that your attorney or your mediator knows these things. So tell me about, what if you don't really know what you want, and does it keep changing throughout the process?
Yeah, it can keep changing. And maybe you don't know today, but I always tell people start making a list of, the things that are most important to you. For a lot of women, the thing at the very top of their list is issues related to child custody. I want to have my kids a certain amount of time, or I want to make sure that they primarily live with me, or something like that. That is fine. Whatever that priority is, put it on that list. And many times people have what I call a list of non-negotiables. I must get these things in the divorce. I must get half of the retirement account, or I must get the car that I'm currently driving. Then there are other things in the divorce that maybe you'd really, really like to have, but nobody's going to die if you don't get them, right? And then there are the other things where you think, I don't really want that. And those can go on a separate list. And I always say, you don't right away tell your ex, oh, I don't want that thing. No, no, no. There's a little bit of strategy and gamesmanship here. So we kind of keep that information in our back pocket. I also tell my clients to think about, what is it that your ex really, really wants? For some people, when they're getting divorced, it's important for them to feel like they win. And so I always say, like, think about, well, what would make your ex feel like he won? And maybe it's a certain piece of art in the house. Oh, he knows I really like that piece of art. So if he got it, he would think he's a big man. But if the truth is that you don't really care so much about that piece of art, then that's great. That might be something strategically that you could use later in the divorce. Well, I'll let you have that piece of art if, and then you get something that you want.
I love the part about making them think they won because it's true. It's like you both have these chips in front of you, and
Hmm.
you're almost doing a little mini poker game at times. But I remember in my divorce, we had this grandfather clock, and I never liked it because it was so high maintenance and you had to wind it. And I'm like, I don't even care about this. And my ex-husband loved the grandfather clock. So when we were getting divorced, I kind of was like, well, you can have the grandfather clock. Like I'm thinking, good, like take
Right.
it.
Right.
But that's just like one example of, something I totally didn't care about.
No, that's awesome. And so what is really important, I think, beyond the gamesmanship is just being clear for yourself on what's the most important to you in this divorce and what you need to come out of it with, what you want to come out of it with, and then making sure your attorney understands this and knows what's most important to you as well. Because your attorney will probably end up having conversations with your ex's attorney when you're not there, and they might be kind of negotiating back and forth on something, and you wouldn't want your attorney to accidentally like offer up something that you really really wanted to keep. And that's why you want to be clear with your attorney about what's really important to you.
And two more things. One, you might not know what you want yet, but like Tracy said, if you write in the columns, make a column that says, I don't really know yet if
Yes.
I want this. And the second thing is it can change. When you said the number one thing women want is child custody, I thought you were going to say the house because every woman I know, I want to keep the house. That's the gut go to of when it comes to assets and divorce. But then a lot of women get into the whole divorce and they think, hmm, well, do I really want the house? And they kind of realize that it's going to be too expensive. It's going to affect so many other aspects of their lives that they end up changing their mind. So I know you want the house. I know it's scary to think about moving and moving your kids out of their comfort zone, but sometimes it can benefit you to part with it.
Absolutely.
Tracy, can you believe we're out of time? This went by
Yes.
fast. And I love doing podcasts with you because this information is so important. And I wish I would have had this when I was thinking of getting divorced and going through one, really. So thank you so much for all your wonderful advice.
You're welcome.
And if you like what you heard, go to divorcemoneyguide.com, and you can also go for planningfordivorce.com. You can also find out more about Tracy in the trusted professionals section of Divorce Girl Smiling under Find the Money. You can also find other trusted, vetted, wonderful divorce professionals on divorcedgirlsmiling.com. You can listen to more podcasts, read articles, download my mobile app, or sign up for my free consult. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. We'll talk to you real soon.